Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today the boys are out doing their own thing. They got 2 days left before school and they're trying to get as much fun as they can, hanging out with their friends and whatnot. So I'm by myself, so I'm going to do a little solo lapidary project. So I was thinking I would take this nice piece of tiger eye that I received from a very generous subscriber a couple weeks ago. I showed that video, this piece in that video. If you want to check out the video, it's up here in the upper right hand corner, maybe over there. Basically what I was thinking of doing is, instead of chopping this up and tumbling it, I thought that would be such a sin to do that. So I thought maybe instead I would slab the face and make a nice display piece. Maybe cut the bottom so I can sit it on a shelf, kind of like that. I think this side is the best side to kind of window it. And yeah, I'm thinking this will make a very nice display piece. So I'm going to do that today. So I'm going to cut I want to preserve as much of the tiger eye as I can. So I'm going to cut a very thin piece off of this side for the display side. And then I'm going to cut I don't know whether I'll go this way or this way. Probably this way. Just to get a nice flat bottom so it can just sit on a shelf like that. So we're going to use the TechDiamond 10-inch slab saw to cut. And then we're going to take it over and polish it on the TechDiamond 8-inch flat lap. Tiger eye is pretty hard. It's like got a hardness of between 6 and 7, so should polish up pretty nicely. I know it tumbles very nicely. So, and this piece here has got some really nice. I can't see it in the camera, but it's got some really nice sheen to it. I'm gonna get it wet here. Maybe not sure we'll be able to see it wet either, but I'm hoping when it's polished, I'll get it in some nice natural light. We'll be able to see it once it's polished, but the finished product should be pretty nice. So let's get started. Well, I just went over and cut that rock and I completely didn't hit record. Thought I hit record, but I cut the rock. I honestly can say that was the first time that has ever happened in my YouTube career, where I've thought I've hit record, thought I recorded something completely, and came back and it's not there, and I can't do anything about it. It is what it is. It happens. It must happen to every YouTuber once, at least once, right? So, anyway, here's the rock. It looks awesome, like spectacular, like it's just popping now. So, for those that don't know what tiger eye is, it's basically quartz and amphibole crystals kind of intertwined together. So it's a metamorphic rock. It's very hard. Like I said before, it's on the 6 to 7 Mohs scale. So this was a hard rock to cut. It took about 5 minutes to cut this slab on the. Actually, not 5 minutes. Probably more like 3. But here's the sliver. I had to take a bit of a bigger sliver off than I wanted because it was, see that angle it was at there? I had to take it so that I could get a nice flat face on it. But this turned out really great. And we're going to polish this up now, and I think it's going to pop even more. So I promise you, I will double check to make sure I get the polishing video. Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, it's only a couple minutes of video that I lost of the cutting, but rest assured I did cut it. There's a little tiny fracture, just a little tiny one right there. That's too bad, but it's the rest of it's still flawless, no fractures at all. But it's still going to turn out really nice. I will get, once we get the finished product here, let me see if I can take it out in the sunlight, actually. It's not a sunny day in Nova Scotia. We just had Hurricane Ida go through. So here's the piece wet and slabbed here. You still hear the wind. It's like the day after the hurricane went through, but it's pretty windy still. This is in the natural daylight, and you can see this one's going to be a stunner, I think. We'll really get the effect when we polish it. So it doesn't look like anything what it's going to look like. Like, it's going to look spectacular, and it's nowhere close to that yet. We got to polish it, but let's go do that now, and I promise I will record it. Oh my goodness. You're not going to believe what I just did. Just joking, I did get it. Here it is. starting off this piece with the 80 grit grinding disc. I like to start off with this disc because I like to get all the surfaces that I'm working down past the saw blade marks. Now I'm cutting with the TechDiamond 10-inch blade, which it's the thin notched blade, so it cuts really smooth, but I still like to start off with this more aggressive grinding disc just to get everything down to a new surface level, to get rid of all those imperfections and saw marks. And then I just start working up from there. What I'm doing here is I'm just letting the piece float. I'm not really applying too much pressure. I don't want to create any deep scratches that the next grit disc can't get out. So I'm just letting the natural weight of the piece fall on the flat lap, and it's being grinded that way. Another thing I would mention here is that I'm using a lot of water. So I'm using the water dispensing system that actually came with the flat lap. It's that cup with the little nozzle drips onto the flat lap. You can actually get one of the pumps, the automated pump, so it's an automatic water delivery system. It just keeps flow going constantly. In this case here, I'm using the cup and I'm going through a cup of water in about 10 minutes. So that's how fast I'm dripping the water onto the flat lap. It's important to have the water because it just keeps that grind kind of consistent and smooth, and it doesn't allow the piece to get dry. If it gets dry, then I find that the piece will just grind and get really deep scratches, and it'll create more dust, and you don't want that. As you can see, I'm making good progress here on making my spiderweb pattern disappear. You can see there's some scratches down there that the 80 grit disc is creating, which I am hoping to eliminate with the next grit. Again, I use the spiderweb pattern to just make sure that everything gets down to the next level. It's very important that this stage be done because even though you have a very, very smooth cut, you may think you have a very smooth cut, it's actually could be warped. And when you go to polish, if you don't do these first stage grinding steps, then your polish is just not going to turn out very well. So you need to get everything down to the exact level. Like everything needs to be smooth and to the same level. So here I've reached the point where I'm happy with this grind, and I believe everything is nice and flat. I've gotten rid of all my spiderweb pattern, and the piece is looking really good. Looking at it dry, there are some scratches, but I believe that I've kept them to a minimum, and the next grit, which is the 180 disc, will likely get rid of those scratches. So the 80 grit disc took me about, I'd say, an hour and a half. So I was really meticulous, making sure that I got that grind, and I wasn't pressing too hard, so it took a little longer. Like I said, I did not want to create any unnecessary scratches that would make it harder for me to get out with the 180 grit disc, which is what I'm using right now. So when using the 180 grit disc, same deal as the 80 grit disc. I'm applying very, very light pressure. And this stage actually goes a little bit quicker than the 80 grit because I've got everything level now and my spiderweb pattern disappears pretty quickly. So I'm just looking at it dry periodically just to make sure that the scratches from the 80 grit are gone. There will be new scratches from the 180, but they're smaller and more fine, and you just got to keep looking at it dry. I didn't show it here, but I look at it probably every couple minutes until I'm satisfied that it's ready to go on to the next stage. And here I am starting the 260 grit disc, same deal, just applying light pressure, waiting for my spiderweb pattern to disappear. This stage goes pretty quick, and when I'm satisfied, then I move on to the polishing stages. So here's what the surface looks like after the 260 grit grinding stage. We got most of the scratches out. There's a little scratch here. I couldn't get it out with the 260, so I'm going to try to buff that out. There's a couple other little scratches here, and there's a little portion down there that was really low, and I'm just I'm not going to try to get it. So the rest of the surface looks pretty good. We're going to run it on the 225 polishing disc now, and we're going to run up. We're going to go 225, 325, 600, 1200, and then 3000. And I'll run through those now, and I'll show you the steps. One thing I forgot to mention during the grinding stage is the speed at which you run the flat lap is also important. So for the grinding discs, the electroplated grinding discs, I run them at a speed of no higher than 3.5. I find any higher than that and it's just way too aggressive on the stone, even silica, even the hard silica, it's just way too aggressive. It chews it up. So 3, you can bump it up to 3.5 maybe. On these smoothing discs here, these colored smoothing discs, I run these at 6. These will not chew up your piece. Now, when you get to the smoothing stages, where I'm at right now on the 220 smoothing disc, these take no time at all, maybe 5 minutes per disc. It goes, from here on, once you get past the grinding stage and you're into the smoothing discs, this goes seamlessly easy. It's just super easy. You can't really mess it up, and your piece, you'll just, as you get through the higher grits, you'll just notice your piece getting shinier and shinier. It's really satisfying. Also, during this stage, you do not have to use nearly as much water as you did during the grinding stage. I can probably do the entire polishing process with all the discs, 220, 325, 600, 1200, 3000. I can use 1 cup of water for the entire set. So I just finished the 220 grit polishing wheel, and this is what it looks like. So we're getting a little bit of a shine. You can almost see my reflection there. So we'll keep going with the 325. Again, 5 minutes per disc and you're set. One thing I also will mention is that I do not use the polishing disc that comes with the high TechDiamond flat lap. The polishing wheel, it comes with a diamond paste, and I find that it does not work well at all. It just tarnishes your piece at the end. I stop at 3000, and the 3000 grit after you're done, if you're polishing agate, silica, anything else hard, it will have a mirror shine. You really can't get a better shine than that. In the future, I will look at impregnating my wheel with maybe aluminum oxide. I use aluminum oxide for all of my polishing, so it's just what I prefer. I don't prefer to use anything else. I've used cerium oxide in the past, and I just don't feel like it's at all near the quality that aluminum oxide can do. So that's just my personal opinion. You guys might have something that you guys prefer to do, but for me, that's just the way I use this machine. Again, I don't use the polishing wheel on this machine. I go to 3000 and then I'm done. So this is after the 325 disc. This is dry. So now we're going to move on to the 600 disc. Again, you really don't have to press hard on this. If you press too hard, especially if you're not using a lot of water, you will get scuff marks. They almost look like they're burn marks, but they're little scuff marks that you won't be able to get out. And yeah, it sucks when that happens, because then you have to go back pretty much to the end of the grinding stage to restart. So don't press too hard. You really don't have to. 5 minutes, just letting it rest on the flat lap, just guiding it with your hand is solid. So one thing I'm going to do, since I didn't get the footage of me actually slicing this side, I'm going to actually cut my display side. So this is the side that it's going to sit on. So I'll do that now. I'll just capture that in the video so you guys can see me using the high TechDiamond slab saw, the 10-inch slab saw. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So that side actually turned out so cool that I'm going to polish that side too. And then we're just going to see which side's better. You can see it's drastically different than the side that we were polishing. So yeah, let's just polish both sides, and then we can display it on either side, and we can just have our choice. All right, so let's do that and polish that side too. Be back in a jiffy. This is the 3000 grit stage for both sides, and this is the end of the project. Like I said, this is the last stage I use. I don't go any higher than this. I don't use the polishing wheel. 3000 grit, good to go. And you guys will see the mirror shine we get at the end of this. Okay, so we finished polishing both sides, and this is the final product dry. As you can see, both sides are really different. Lots more of the yellow on this side. I will say the brown portions were much softer, so the scratches were harder to get out of that area. But I think we did a pretty good job on both. I love this side. I think this is going to be the display side, but you guys tell me what you think in the comments below. This one's got that really cool tiger eye effect there. But this side's got it. So I think we're going to display it like that. So really happy with how this turned out. Very nice shelf piece. We'll put it in the house somewhere. And again, thank you to the subscriber that gave this to us. Very generous, and very glad to add this to our collection. If anybody wants any information on the TechDiamond flat lap, you can feel free to email me. Our email is in the description. I will answer all your questions. We've been using it for about 10 months now, and I feel like I'm just now starting to know, with the different materials we have that we've been using, I'm starting to know how to get the scratches out. The early stages, the grinding stages, 80, 180, 260, those are key. Once you get past those stages, the polishing stages, like the 260 up to 3000, it's a piece of cake. You probably need to spend, let's say you're just polishing one side here, you probably need to spend a couple hours just grinding this. It's really important to get as many scratches out as you can, and when you're going from 80 to 180 to 260, you really got to make sure that you're getting the previous grit scratches out. It's super important, because you'll notice it in the polishing stages. When you start getting up to the 600, the finer grit discs, it'll start to pop more if you get those scratches out, and you'll notice right away if you don't get the scratches out, you'll start seeing the imperfections. But we did a pretty good job on this one. I'm really happy with how it turned out. If anyone's interested in TechDiamond products, you can use our affiliate link. It's in the description below. You can use the code RHLife to get yourself 10% off. It includes everything on the website, excluding machines and gift cards, but it's good for everything else, and the 10% discount is good for life. You can come back and use it as many times as you want. So help yourself out, help the channel out. We're glad to provide that for you. TechDiamond's been really great to us, and we're proud to be an affiliate of them. So if you guys have any questions, like I said, please feel free to email me. And that does it for this video. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great week, and we'll catch you on the next one.